Good evening, Purple Rube Fantasy Football League. This is your commissioner, John. I wanted to get a Week 8 recap in and Week 9 preview video in. It's been a hectic week with Halloween and everything, as most of you that are parents know, as well as, the baby's been sick, so that's eaten up a lot of time. But I definitely felt like it was something I should do. So I'm going to try to do another one of these quick hitters, which means you're going to have to take a look at this pretty ugly mug for a few minutes at least anyway, so I can run through this. I really wanted to recap Week 8 because I made some big, bold proclamations. First off, me putting up the most points of the week against Sarah, which absolutely did not happen. I will at least say that I was leading into Monday Night Football, but the Denver team pooed itself. Kansas City's defense put up like 26 points. I didn't even have anything on my bench that I could point to and say, hey, I could have won. So that was definitely really sad. I also was very adamant that Mark Potter was going to go ahead and take out Punky. Also did not happen. Mark should have, on paper won, and I guess that's why we play the games, because Mark did not win. Apparently, the Colts have a tight end named Jack Doyle who needed all the fantasy points for Indianapolis on Sunday, putting up 32 points. Also, she got 26 points out of Jerick McKinnon, which must have been a pretty strong dagger in Mark's heart, as he is, an avid Vikings fan, as I am, and as a lot of the people in the league are, barring some of the people from Iowa. Also, in Week 8 action, we had Matt taking out Carl. Matt jumps up to number 2. Formerly number 2, Eric Harbacek took an L from Levi, who retains his number 1 position. So, also in Week 8 action, we had Josh winning the Basement Bowl versus Paul. And then we also had Mike Radloff. Out of nowhere, Mr. Radloff had notoriously underperformed in week after week. Now, it took some wins, took some losses, a lot of times in the 80s or 90s for point total. Went against Troy and more than doubled up Troy's score, putting up 175 points. The best performance by far of the year. Basically, anything you saw on ESPN and SportsCenter for NFL was probably a player that was on Mike's team. Just everything clicked. He had an all-star performance. He did not have an all-star performance when it comes to that opponent, Troy, because he went ahead and cut Zeke based on suspension information that we had. Turns out that he is not going to be missing next week, and Troy took full advantage of and scooped up them. So he may have lost to Zeke in Week 8, but he's going to put him out on his roster on Week 9, and I think that's going to come in very handy for him. Also, even though he had some bad waiver moves, Mr. Mike Radloff, had some very good roster moves this week. I'm limited on cap money. I had my eye on Tyrod Taylor, but Mike got him during the waiver process and then proceeded to cut him on the 1st, making him on waivers through the start of the Thursday night game, which put him on waivers until the end of this week. So, crafty move or just a ridiculous move, but it kept me from being able to use Tyrod Taylor against Mike, who I am playing this week. So, let's start with Week 9. Before I get into the matchups, big news, Deshaun Watson blows out his ACL, Texans quarterback, out for the rest of the season. And that's going to have some big fantasy implications. Josh Gordon conditionally reinstated. I don't think that has any fantasy football implications, but we'll see. And Zeke apparently, obviously not playing. And Jets did all right on Thursday night. So there were some potential Thursday night points. I'll try to cover those during the week or during a video of if anyone used any of those players. Speaking of the Thursday night performance, obviously, I am taking on Mike. I wanted to use Tyrod, but his crafty picking up and cutting move prevented that from happening. Although if I was Mike, I wouldn't have. He's rolling out Beathard. I think that's just some of his Iowa Hawkeye love coming back to haunt him. Although with Deshaun Watson out, my trade for Fuller, who's like got 7 touchdowns on 11 receptions, I don't think that's going to go as well, but I think I'll still have enough to take out the win against Mr. Radloff. Also in week 9 action, we've got Sarah versus Paul. Paul's the, bottom leader, basement player, 14, which is the number of points that Sarah got on Thursday. He got 3 from his kicker, Hauschka, who actually I would have presumed would have had a better day. Yahoo's got Paul predicted to win. I think had Sarah been able to use Sammy Morris, Alfred Morris, who she spent some waiver money on, she would have had a better chance to win. But she's getting zeked, as is some of the other people in the league. So I actually think Paul's going to take this one out. Also, week 9, we've got Josh at number 12 versus Matt at number 2. And Josh is the one that's taking the Deshaun Watson lumps. He decided to go with Savage. All right, that's a choice. I don't know if it's a choice I would have been. Savage was the most sacked quarterback week 1. The team traded away their left tackle because he wasn't happy. But hey, when you got a super mobile quarterback who likes to roll out to his right, do you need a stud left tackle? Probably not. If you have a statue back there, you probably do. So I think that's going to be rough for him. Although he did give up the ghost on Sir Drops a Lot, Eric Ebron. But he's going with another rookie tight end. Rookie tight ends don't tend to do well in O.J. Howard at Tampa Bay. Matt will probably win this thing, but Matt's rolling out Eddie Lacy, who's been announced as the starter for Seattle, whose offense is definitely clicking, and he's also doing Deshaun Jackson. Both those guys have hurt him this season. So both those guys have the potential to put up points, especially if they're going to be the starter, but both of them have put up like 1s and 2s. So Matt has the potential to lose. Most likely he's going to go ahead and win that one. We also have Punky taking on Mark Radloff. Punky was probably going to win anyway. Her roster's pretty good when you look at running back and Fournette. I don't think Jack Doyle's going to carry her team this week, but he's not going to need to because Fournette's going to be back. And Mark made some very poor Thursday night choices. Now I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Mark Radloff has a new baby, younger than mine. He's busy, a recent job change. So I know he's a busy man. Now, I know they did make the announcement Thursday morning, but, not all of us have the luxury to be able to go ahead and adjust our lineups. But he went ahead and played Calvin Benjamin, who was not active for that game. So he takes the 0 there. He had 2 receivers that went. He picked the one that put up the lowest points, so he picked up Curse, who had only did 6. And he had a potential to do McCown, who had a pretty decent 16-point day, but he left him on the bench. So not looking good for Mr. Mark Radloff. It looks like Emily, back at full strength, going to do some damage. Maybe this will be the beginning of a run. And on the other Harbachek, we've got Eric at number 3 taking on Carl at number 8. Carl wants everyone to know that he has tight ends available. I don't know if you've all seen the messages he's posted and sent out in the league, but Carl has 3 top 10 tight ends. Trade me tight ends. So guess what, guys? Trade Carl a tight end. But make sure you make a good offer. He's not making any offers. He's just fielding offers. And he reserves the right to be offended by the offers that you do make, as he was by the one I made tonight. But hey, if you don't like it, counter it. Or stop sending out emails to everyone. And you can start making offers. Also, in this matchup, once we get past the fact that Carl's sending out annoying emails about tight ends, is that neither one of them had a Thursday night player because there wasn't a ton of Thursday night action, although there ended up being some decent points. Eric is, riding Ingram. Carl's going to roll out AP again. This could be really interesting. Both of them have had some big days since the two became no longer teammates. Eric's got, I think, an advantage that he really didn't have. Since the bye week 2 weeks ago, Devontae Freeman is actually getting more of the passing plays than Tevin Coleman. They've kind of like shifted roles, which is actually beneficial for our league. I don't think Carl's going to have what it takes to, beat Eric. Obviously, it's not a 3 tight end league, so I think Eric's going to take this one. In a battle of guys near the top, we've got Troy at number 4 and Ray at number 6. This one, it looks good for Troy. He got that sneaky Zeke play. Ray took it real bad with Shady only getting 2.5 on Thursday night. So I think it's one of those ones where Shady's bad day, and it probably will be a great day from Zeke, who, each time he's facing the suspension the following week has put up giant points. So I think it's going to be a good game for Troy. And we also have the game of the week, I think, is going to be number 1 Levi versus number 13 Mark. Now, there wasn't any ones that were like super like 1 versus 2 or interpersonal relationships, kind of like I broke down last week for that one. But anytime Levi's going in a matchup, Mark has a roster that can really go big or go home. Although he was disappointed probably by the 7.4 from Bilal Powell. Did anyone watch that Thursday night game? Jets, very interesting. Helmet looked great. Color Rush green looked terrible, but the helmet was awesome. On first down, it was Forte. On second down, it was Powell. And on third down, it was McGuire. Like, they committed to using all 3. They all had a varying number of points. Obviously, Forte got the 2 touchdowns. One of those touchdowns coming off the back of a long run by Bilal Powell. So that got a little heartbreaking for Mark. But I think Levi is going to actually struggle a little bit with DeAndre Hopkins. That trade for me might start looking up. DeAndre's had some huge weeks, but now that Deshaun Watson's out, I think that's going to come back to earth. And obviously, I had mentioned previously that Coleman's getting less action in the passing game. So I think that's, obviously going to hurt Levi in this matchup, as well as the fact that Levi left Forte on his bench. That's right, folks. Levi left 25 points on his bench. I think Mark was looking to try to use McFadden this week. He picked him up. He's hurt by the Zeke thing. So it's going to be pretty rough. Levi's kicker, Butker, I've liked him. I've got him in another league. Guy can put up some points. So that's one, that can be demoralizing. Mark's a little bit, defeated by the fact that he's 13th. He's, just gotten some bad beats. And if he gets, 15 or 20 pointed by a kicker, that might be the end of him. He might jump. Atlanta takes on Carolina this week, and they each have the quarterback in the matchup, Ryan versus Cam. I think that's going to be a high-scoring affair. I think it really comes down to whichever one of those quarterbacks has the better day. The team that they're on will be the victor. Obviously, I'm going to root for Potter because, Levi needs to be taking those L's. It's a rough week. Vikings have a bye week, so that makes me a little bit sad. I just want to make sure that I covered everyone's matchup. I would feel bad if I left people out. Me, Mike, Sarah, yeah, Paul. All right, guys. I hope this wasn't too torturous to listen to. I appreciate everyone who took the time to listen to last week's video, earn their additional 5 waiver dollars for taking the time to play the little game. There's a couple of you that even took shots that didn't get it. It just at least lets me know that people were listening, and so I wanted to make some reward for you guys. Maybe I'll do something like that later on in the season. All right, guys. Let's enjoy Week 9. Let's have some good matchups. Everyone keep your head up. Keep your chin up. And remember, 8 teams make the playoffs. Everyone's got a chance. All right. It's your commish. I'm out. Mic drop.